So morning guys, just welcome to this session on SAP project orientation training. So what exactly we will be doing this in this SAP project training over here. So what are going to be our roles and responsibilities which we are going to carry out? Because like once you're done with your course and everything, like next part would be getting into a project. You will be cracking a job and you get into the interviews, you pass on all the interviews, and the next thing, we need to sit on the project. So what would be our role? So what is going to be? Our role in the project. What exactly we do in the project? So what are the different kind of projects we are having it? So like in which project you will be getting your first entry. So those things which we will be discussing over here. Okay. Before we get into further details, like first thing we will be concentrating over here, who will be addressed as a client and who will be addressed as an implementation partner. What exactly the role of a client in a project? Because client is going to be the one who uses SAP to run the business process. He will be using SAP to run the business process. He is going to be the highest level. Okay, client will be going to be the highest level in SAP implementation, because he will be responsible for the allocation of budgets. How much budget he need to allocate it for SAP implementation, this guy will be taking care of it. And what is going to be the client? Why he need to use SAP? He will be providing his what are the business challenges he's facing. Okay. What are the business challenges he's facing or is coming across in his total company operations, and what are the deliverables he's looking after from this particular software. Okay. So how that particular problem need to be resolved? What are the expected results? So all those things is what the client is going to provide us over here. The client is going to be the one who will be using SAP to run the business process, and he will be the highest level in SAP implementation. Only reason is he will be responsible for allocation of budgets, and he will be giving me the task. What are the business challenges he is facing, and what are the expected deliverables which need to be met. Okay. Now, and the people who work at the client location, we are going to call them as an end users. So what exactly this end users will be doing over here? What is going to be their job? Will be working in that area. Okay. And next one which we need to know over here is going to be the implementation partner. Who will be addressed as an implementation partner? Implementation partner is going to be the one who will be responsible for SAP implementation. Responsible for SAP implementation. Okay. So who is going to be responsible for deploying SAP software at client location. So we are going to address them as an implementation partner over here. And for example, client Redis Lab is going to be one of the client, or you can also take it as a Reliance, Tata Seals, Tata Textiles, Walmart, McDonald's, BMW. This will be addressed as a clients over here who are using SAP software to run the business process. An implementation partner, Accenture, IBM, TCS, Wipro. We are going to call them as an implementation partners. And the people who work at the client location, we are going to call them as end users. And people who work at the implementation partner end, we are going to address them as an SAP consultants. Now, as an SAP consultant, what is going to be our job over here? As an end user, what is going to be their role in our client location? So we will be working in that area over here. Okay. Normally we know that there are going to be two different kind of consultants maintained. one will be addressed as SAP functional consultants. And second one, we are going to address them as an SAP technical consultants. Now, what exactly the functional consultants will be doing and what exactly the technical consultants will be doing over here. If you work with any kind of a project, so what are the different kind of projects we will be working on and what is going to be our job role over here. Now, talking about the functional consultants, like anybody comes from the functional area, LC, MM, PP, PM, QM, CRM. So these will be considered as a functional consultants. And if you're talking about the technical side, ABAP, basis, security, those guys will be considered as a technical consultants. Whereas whenever we work as a functional consultant, there will be no coding involved over here. Okay? There will be no coding involved over here. As a technical guy, we need to know some knowledge on coding. So coding is going to be required over here. Okay? That is going to be the major difference between SAP functional consultants and technical consultants. As a functional consultants, there will be no coding at all involved for us to do. Only thing is we need to map the scenarios and we need to provide a solution over here. And if you need to provide a solution in the backend, we need to design it. So that designing part will be taken care by our technical department over here. Okay. And if you want to develop any kind of screens in SAP, it would be the ABAP department who will be designing it. And the people who work on ABAP language, we are going to address them as an ABAPers. And they will be taking care of our development activities. In the same way, we are having basis department. If the software need to be installed, giving the authorizations. So all those things will be carried out by our basis department over here. Okay. In the same way, there is a new module which has been newly came into the existence, HANA. This will be taking care of our database management. How the data need to be managed. Okay. BIBW. So use it for reporting purpose. Okay. Like that, we are having number of modules maintained over here. Okay. So there is going to be the core difference between the functional consultants and the technical consultants. Functional consultants will be responsible for mapping the business process, whereas technical consultants will be working with the coding part. Okay. Now, what is going to be our job role? Okay. What is going to be our job role? Now, first thing will be considered as a business analyst. Okay. We'll be working as a business analyst. Now, what do you mean by this business analyst role? So why need to work as a business analyst? It's going to be really simple. First thing, as a business analyst, what kind of activities we need to go? First thing, like once you get into a client location, you need to know the business process. So you will be getting that information from your client. The client is going to address you what kind of problems he is facing. So why he want to use SAP as his ERP package. What kind of benefits he is going to get if they are using ERP package over here. Then after, what are the business challenges he is facing? He will be providing all that business challenges and what should be the deliverables required. Now you may be seeing a lot of companies saying that so there was no proper inventory management activities carried out, and for that I want a better solution to be provided. So first thing, you need to understand what exactly the client is trying to say. Okay. So you need to understand it. What are the business challenges and what are the deliverables he is looking after. It's nothing but deliverables, we can say it as an expected result. Expected results. What exactly is looking after? All this information will be provided and we need to make all that notes over here. Okay. Now, once you take all the things from the client in, there's nothing but we are going to call it as a requirement gathering. That's going to be the terminology used, requirement gathering. collection of data from our client. So requirement gathering. How we are going to gather the requirements from our clients. So what are the different tools we are going to use it over here? We'll be working in that area, requirement gathering sessions. Okay. Now how we are going to conduct the workshops. Now see, like it is not going to be a 1-day task or 2-day task. We just get into a client location and ask them to provide all the requirements. Now, so it is going to take a lot of time. So how we are going to plan your activities so that the client is going to provide all the information. So we'll be working with different workshops over here. Who will be conducting the workshops? How that workshop's planning need to be carried out? What kind of questions you need to ask in that requirement gathering sessions? So that is nothing but we'll be working with a tool called as QADB over here. QADB, it stands for question and answer database. Like how we are going to design that question and answer database documents. Because like it's not going to be simple. We just can't get into a client location without preparation, like what kind of questions need to be asked. So what all questions you need to ask the client to gather the requirements. So we will be designing that documents over here. Okay. So once you know what is the business process carried out. So we will be also going for business process documentations over here. Business process documentation. There's nothing but what kind of business process the client is following right now, how the methodology has been used, how the process is going on. Now we know that in SD the process is going to be really simple. It will be starting with an inquiry, then after we are going to convert that inquiry into a quotation, quotation into an order carried out in delivery carried out by billing. It may be the same process or they may be following a different terminology. So what kind of terminology they are using it, what kind of documentations they are maintaining it, what amount of data they are capturing it at the time of creation of our orders. All that information we are going to do it over here. We will be capturing all data. That is what you mean by requirement gathering over here. Okay. As a business analyst, we will be responsible for doing all these activities. So you need to understand the business process and we need to provide a proposed solution. Proposed solution in SAP. How you are going to address that process into SAP. So this proposed solution is going to be based on this business process documentation which we are going to maintain. That is nothing but we are going to address it as an as-is process. How the current business process is carried out and how it will be converted into 2B. 2B means in SAP. So we will be responsible for maintenance of this documentation over here. As is and 2B documentation, which is nothing how the current business process is working and how it will be performing once we are going to convert it into SAP language. Proposed solution in SAP. So that is what we do as a business analyst over here. Now once you develop it, once you propose a solution, you need to get or you need to demonstrate the same information at the client end. You need to be responsible for giving the presentations. So we do provide the presentations. We make sure the client is happy with the process which we are going to deploy it. So we need to demonstrate how the scenarios will be carried out to him. And once we get an approval from the client, then only we work with our different part over here. Next comes as a developer. What is going to be our role? Once you are going to get your sign-off document from our client end, we'll be working as a developer over here. Now what do you mean by this developer? What kind of activities we are going to do? So we will be responsible for doing the configurations and customizations according to business requirements. We will be responsible for doing the configurations and customizations according to business requirements. Now what do you mean by this configurations and customization? Now, working with SAP system. Standards. If you're working with the standards, then we are going to call it as a configurations. What exactly? SAP has provided a solution. If you're using the same thing, we'll be working with the configuration. Customizations. Customizations are nothing but developments. Now, at the time of mapping your as-is and to-be over here, there may be some solutions where SAP may not be answering it. Then we need to develop a solution according to the client requirement. So that is nothing but we are going to call it as a customization. Developing SAP according to the client requirement. We are going to customize the software according to the business requirement of the client. So here comes your gap analysis. Here comes your gap analysis. Now, we already know that when we study the business process, we know how it needs to be mapped into SAP. Then we need to know whether the SAP is going to provide the solution or not. So you will be working on SAP platform and you will be checking it whether SAP has a proper solution maintained or not. If SAP is not providing the solution, then we are going to address it as a gap analysis. The gap between as-is documentation and to-be documentation. Okay. And how this gap analysis will be addressed with the form of RISE-F over here. Okay. I'm just giving you the total overview of what we do in the sessions over here. In the coming classes, I'm going to elaborate each and everything, and I'm going to give you the total idea. Okay. So RISE-F. Now RISE-F is going to be the logic which we are going to use it for addressing that gaps, minimizing that gaps, to make sure the business is all the requirements of the business are mapped into SAP, where R stands for reports, I stands for interfaces, C stands for conversions, E stands for enhancement, F stands for forms, and W stands for workflows. So we will be responsible for doing this configuration and customization as a developer. Now, once you develop the software according to the business standards, what is going to be next step? We'll be going for testing. We're not going to do the testing on the dummy data. It is going to be carried out testing on real-time information. Okay. So our job role would be working as a test analyst over here. Test analyst. How to plan our test plan, preparing test plans over here. So what are the different kind of testing will be carried out? So we will be responsible for preparation of these test plans. Then after, what kind of testing process need to be carried out? There are going to be different kind of testing process which will be used in any kind of a project. So first one, we are going to call it as a unit testing over here. Second one, scenario testing. Third one, integration testing. Then after, regression testing. So we'll be working in this testing process over here. Unit testing. What do you mean by this one? Unit testing is nothing but whether our sales order has been created or not, or you're getting any kind of defects at the time of creation of your order. Bits and pieces testing is what we are going to address it as a unit testing over here. Next one, scenario testing. A total your listing and exclusion process has been executed or not. Your forward cycle is running fine or not. If you are getting any kind of errors, what kind of errors we are getting it. Integration testing. Integration between two different modules, credit management, account determination, third party, IPO. Integration between different departments, whether the information has been passed from one department to another department or not. We are going to test it. Now, if you take an example of a third party, once we go for creation of the sales order, in the background, a program will be executing and a purchase requisition will be generated. Now, based on that purchase requisition, department will be carrying out the procurement activities. So, how that requirement, whether the requirement has been passed or not, we will be checking over there. So different modules will be getting involved when we are trying to carry out our integration testing over here. Regression testing. So how good we are working with our system, where system is able to take that load or not. Okay. So we'll be working as a test analyst over here, testing different activities, test plans, like how this testing process need to be deployed at the client locations once you're going to deploy the software. And apart from that, we will be also responsible for providing the trainings to the end users. Okay, providing the trainings.
So there's a user acceptance testing also, right?
These all things we will be addressing it as a UAT, user acceptance testing. Now, it is not only you guys or the consultants who will be working with this testing process, it will be also the end users who will be involved in the testing process. Now, if they need to test the application, first thing we need to provide the training. So we need to provide the training to the end users. So what kind of screens they will be working on, what kind of transactions they will be carrying it out. Normally, we know that in SAP we are having two screens where we deal with. One is going to be SAP Easy Access screen. Okay, SAP Easy Access screen, and the screen will be used by end users. Okay, it will be used by end users over here to run daily transactions. Now, what do you mean by this daily transactions over here? So they will be given authorizations to work with only master data as well as transactional data. Every day they will be responsible to work with master data and transactional data. Master data would be our customer master, material master, CMIR, customer material info record, condition master data. When we talk about this transactional data, they will be given authorizations to work with our forward cycle, creation of an inquiry, quotation, order, delivery, doing the picking process, issuing the billing document. So those will be addressed as a transactional data over here. Their job role is nothing but running the daily transactions. They will be not given any kind of access to do any kind of configuration in SAP. Okay, no configuration at all. And we are having another screen which we are going to call it as an IMG screen over here. And this IMG screen will be used by SAP consultants. And what is going to be our job? Our job is going to be going for configuration and customization according to the business requirements. We are going to develop SAP system according to the business requirement. And we will be given authorizations to work with IMG screen. End users will be working with SAP Easy Access screen to run the daily transactions, and we will be working with IMG screen to do the configurations and customizations. Okay, so that's what we do. We provide training to the end users. Once the end users get trained with the SAP system, they also perform the testing process. And that testing is what we are going to call it as a UAT testing over here, user acceptance testing. We need to get an approval from our client saying that his requirements has been mapped. The same business functionality what he is following in his business has been mapped into SAP. So he will be also going to be working with this testing process over here. Okay. So these three roles together is what we are going to address it as an SAP consultant. Okay. So we work as a business analyst. We take care of developing and we do testing process. Okay. All these three activities together, we are going to call it as an SAP consultant. And we are going to be the face of any company, because we are going to be the persons who will be getting into the client location, grab the project, provide the solution according to their business requirements. That's the one. And what is going to be our role? So what kind of documentations you are going to maintain it when we get into or work on SAP implementation over here? What exactly we do over here? As I discussed this, we don't do programming, but we work with the programmers over here, which is nothing but we have an interaction with our development department. That is nothing but our ABAPA. If any particular solution cannot be mapped into SAP, we contact our ABAPA and we need to make sure he's developing according to the business requirement. We need to guide him how that particular process need to be developed. So we work with our programmers over here. We analyze and propose solution in SAP. That is nothing but we are going to call it as an as-is documentation, as-is process. And 2B, how the business process is carried out and how it need to be mapped into SAP. So we are going to be responsible for providing a solution. And we do a lot of configurations. According to the business requirements, we map the process into SAP. We configure the system according to business standards. And we prepare test scripts. How the testing process need to be carried out. What is going to be the first step? Creation of our order. So what all data you are going to maintain it at the time of creation of the order. What is going to be the expected result? What is going to be the actual result? Any errors we are getting it? Who is the person who has tested it? The documentation we need to maintain. A lot of documentations will be involved if we get into any kind of a project over here. Okay. And we need to plan and execute the testing process. So how that testing process will be carried out. And if the client is getting any kind of errors or bugs or defects, as a consultant, it's going to be our job resolving that problems in SAP what he's facing. So we'll be working in that area. We prepare functional specs. A functional specs is a terminology used when if SAP is not providing any standard solution for the business process. So we need to develop it. So with the help of this functional specs only, we are going to communicate to our ABAPA for carrying out the development activities. Blueprint documentations. Now we are going to propose a solution. That proposed solution is what we are going to call it as a blueprint documentation. Okay, and prepare key decision documents. So it's going to be part of the consultants where we work with a lot of documentations over here. Okay. So apart from that, we will be interacting with the end users who work at the client locations. We'll be having a constant communications. We help them in running their business into SAP. We train them. And apart from that, managers. Because managers will be interested in looking only reports. What kind of reports they want. We'll be getting that requirement and based on that we develop it and we produce it. Okay. As a consultant, our job is nothing but doing the configuration. No, apart from configurations and customizations, we do a lot of different activities over here. So we get into a client locations. We interact with the people over there. Interactions is not only with the end users, the look at one. We'll be working with our CEOs. We'll be working with the managers of the department, head. So who are sound enough. They may be having a good amount of knowledge. We cannot just go at the client location, we can blah blah blah. We cannot do like that. It's going to be a professional manner. Because they are going to be the one who is going to be funding the project. So we need to be good with them. So they will be providing what all requirements they are having it. And we need to make note of each and every requirement they provide us. There are going to be a lot of documentation, I can say, which will be involved. A configuration part is going to be really less over here. Configuration part is going to be really less. Now, when you're going to do the configuration, once you get the requirement. So requirement gathering is going to be the major part when we work in any kind of a project over here. If your requirement gathering is not good, the project may get failed also. Okay. Now, coming into your documentation, these are the different set of documentations we are going to maintain in SAP projects over here. Key decision documents. What is going to be the proposal? In which phase, how the project will be implemented? What is going to be the implementation time? How many consultants will be working? What is going to be the reporting hierarchy? All those things we are going to maintain it over there. Next comes our requirement documents. Requirement documents is nothing but what are the challenges they are facing it, what are the expected deliverables, how the business process will be carried out. So here we will be working with flow diagrams as well. What comes first if this process is carried out, how the process is carried out. Creation of sales order, then after checking the stock in the inventory, carrying out the delivery, carrying out the billing process. We will be working with that documentations as well. Business process documentations, we need to map it. Then project plan documents, how the project planning activities will be carried out. We will be working with a methodology called as ASAP methodology over here. Let me show you. Yep, there's going to be the one, ASAP methodology. How we are going to deploy the software at client location. With the help of this methodology, we will be doing it, where ASAP stands for Accelerated SAP Methodology. And this ASAP will be having 6 phases over here. First phase, we are going to call it as a project preparation. Second phase, blueprint. Third phase, realization. Fourth phase, final preparation. Fifth phase, go live and support. And sixth phase, running SAP software. In project preparation, what is going to be our job role? What we do in our project preparation? What kind of documentation will be maintained? The project preparation is going to be the first phase, where it's going to be an interaction between the client and the implementation partner. So the client is going to provide us business challenges. We understand it. We propose a solution for it. What is going to be the estimated cost? What should be the hardware use? Or how many consultants will be working over here? All those things, negotiations, everything will be carried out in our project preparation. So what is going to be the duration of the project? In which phase, like how the project will be implemented? Like whether it is going to be SD which will be implemented first, or MM, or finance. All those discussions will be carried out in our project preparation. Grabbing the project, getting the project for the company. So we'll be playing a big role over here, because we need to get into a client role and we need to convince him to go for using SAP. So he will be asking a lot of questions. How SAP is going to support my business? So you need to give demonstration on SAP software. This is how the application will be running, how the integrations are carried out, how the accounts are getting updated, what kind of reports SAP can provide it. All those things. As a sound consultant, you need to give the answers. Then comes your blueprint phase. Now, once the project has been allocated for the company, now what is going to be our job? We need to get into a client location. He may be in abroad, or same country, or same state. You need to get into the client locations. As a functional consultant, the technical department will be not getting into the client location. It's always going to be the functional guys. As a functional consultant, we need to get into a client location. We need to gather the requirements. How that gathering process is carried out. So that's what we do over here. Requirement gathering. What kind of documentations you are going to maintain over here? Now, you need to prepare yourself for asking the questions for the client, because if you are saying that how many sales area you are having, how many sales office you are having, the client will be not knowing, because he is new to SAP and he doesn't know that SAP terminology. So you need to maintain your questions in a layman language, and you need to gather it and you need to map it. So how that requirement document is maintained, how we are going to prepare it. Is SAP is providing any kind of standard documentation? Yes, they do support it. So what and how it will be looking, will be working that area. Okay, project plan documentation, how the planning of the projects will be carried out, what is going to be the first step, requirement gathering, and what is going to be the next step, how much duration is maintained for each and every process to be completed. The documentations will be planned over here. Business process. As I told you, like if they are using any kind of business process, we go there, we ask them to provide the documentation. Each and every small information is going to be playing a big role over here. When you're talking about, for example, they are using one sales analysis report, like how that sales analysis report is looking. We need to take that documentation. We need to ask them to provide a sample layout. So that all the things, requirement gathering is going to be the crucial part. You need to gather, like in my desk I can say it, I will be having a lot of papers, because those things only we will be mapping into SAP. How that layout need to be looking, where the company logo is, what the data maintained on the header, at the footer, what is the main body, what kind of information is getting displayed. So all those things we need to gather it. A small piece of information also we cannot leave it over here. Okay, that's going to be the crucial part. ROICF, there's nothing but we are going to address it as a functional specifications, where you're going to work with our technical department, which is nothing but ABAP. How we are going to do the communication with the ABAP. So that is nothing but ROICF documentation. Blueprint documentation. Blueprint documentation, as is and to be, once again. Okay. Configuration documentation. What all configurations we have done in SAP. How many sales organizations we are having. What is the naming conventions you have maintained it. Now, till now we were working with our own naming conventions. From now onwards, we will be not working with our own. There will be a separate terminology maintained over here. So how the terminology will be working. Now, I can give you one example. Sales documents. Till now we were creating APOR or RUR like that. No, it's not going to be the standard. Whenever you're working with a customized one, your customized document types need to be started with Y or C. Most of the times it will be starting with C itself, otherwise Y. So that will be the indication that we're having customized document types over here. So I have to go for creation of that customized document types. That's what we do over here, configuration. And technical specs, converting that functional spec into technical spec. Test planning, how the test scripts process need to be developed over here. How the things need to be carried out. Defect tracking documents. Now if the user is facing any kind of problems at the time of working with SAP, then how he will be sending that particular error to the consultant, how the communications will be carried out. That is nothing but ticketing tool. How you will be receiving the tickets from our users, and what would be the time frame given for you to resolve that tickets in SAP. We'll be working that area. Then after, cutover documents. How much data need to be updated into SAP, whether 2 years transaction data or 3 years transaction data. So we need to analyze it and we need to provide a solution over here. What are the different tools used for loading that data from legacy system into SAP system? Legacy system is nothing but the present system they are using it. And user training documents, end user manuals. We are going to call it as an end user manuals. Documentations maintained. How the process need to be carried out in SAP. And you can see a lot of documentations is involved over here, apart from configuration. Okay. Now that's how your project will be divided. Where exactly we are going to spend most of our time. Project preparation. Interactions with our client. So 12% of our efforts will be going over there, grabbing a project. Then after blueprint, there's going to be the crucial phase, because we are going to map the business process into SAP and we need to propose a solution over here. Then after comes your realization phase, where we are going to do the configurations in SAP system. 46% of your time will spend on the realization. Then after, final preparation. Final preparation, where we are going to do our training. We provide training to the end users over here, and they will be doing the testing, UAT testing over here. So 19% of our time will be spent over final preparation phase. Then the project will be go live. Okay. So that's what we do over here. As a consultant, we'll be discussing what exactly is going to be our role in our projects. Now, coming to SAP projects over here, there are going to be different kind of projects. It's not always going to be an implementation projects. There are going to be different kind of projects where we are going to work on. First one, we are going to call it as an implementation project. Second one, we are going to call it as a support project. Third one, we are going to call it as an upgrade project. And final one will be addressed as a rollout. These are going to be the different SAP projects maintained. Implementation project, if any company is newly going for SAP, then we are going to call it as an implementation project. Once SAP has been deployed at client location, the client is facing some problems. He's getting some errors. He wants new configurations need to be done. Then we will be working with our support project. Then upgrade from previous versions of SAP to the latest version of SAP, upgrading the software. Previously it was SAP 4.7, 4.8. Now SAP is 6.0. Once again, it's going to be our implementation project. The process remains the same. How we are going to upgrade that project? We need to take the data from 4.7 and you need to update into EC 6.0. Once again, it is going to be totally a new one. And rollout. If the company is having a planning of expansions, in India they have set up the entity for running the operations. They are getting good response. Now they have started the entity in UK. There also they want to use SAP. The same business process need to be mapped. So how to work with it? So you may be getting a job in any of these 4 projects over here. Implementation, support, upgrade, and rollout. Okay. So that's what we'll be doing over here. First thing, we'll be looking into our methodology. What kind of methodology will be used for deploying SAP at any of our client location? What does ASAP methodology means? What are the different activities are involved in it? As a consultant, what is going to be our job role in that ASAP methodology over here? What is going to be our system landscape? Till now we were working with only one client, 800 client over here, which we are going to address it as a demo client. In real time, you will be not given any kind of access to work with 800 client. So how the system landscape will be maintained? What are going to be the different servers involved in it? Normally we are going to address it as 3 servers over here. Development server, quality server, and production server. What we do in each and every server over here? What kind of authorizations will be provided? We'll be working in that area. Then after, we need to work with our blueprint documentations over here, business process documentations. Lot of documentation, not only this business process, we'll be working in different areas over here. Business process documentation, blueprint documentation, configuration documentation, user manuals, preparation of our test scripts. All those things we will be working over here. If any company want to use SAP, So how the process will be carried out from step number 1 to step number 10. We'll be working in that area. How you go for gathering the requirement, how you're going to map it into SAP, how you're going to develop it. Thereafter, how you're going to do that testing process. Once you test it, how much amount of data need to be updated from legacy system into SAP system, providing the trainings to the end users, and the project will be go live. And once the project has been go live, what is going to be our next step? We need to provide support. As a support consultant, how the process will be executed, how you will be receiving the tickets from your client. That is what we are going to address as ticketing tool. Getting the tickets from our client, ticketing tool. What are the different ticketing tools which are available in the market? So how you need to resolve the tickets. Basically, it will be classified as high priority ticket, medium priority ticket, low priority ticket. So for resolution of these tickets, the companies will be fixing the time frames. High priority tickets need to be resolved within 4 to 6 hours. It depends upon each and every company. These are not standards. Every company will be having a different agreements maintained. That is nothing but SLAs. We are going to call it as service level agreements. Now, medium tickets need to be resolved within 24 hours. Whereas low priority tickets need to be resolved within 48 hours. It's going to be different for each and every company. Okay. Now, how we are going to resolve those tickets over here? The client is going to provide you that tickets and you need to resolve it. The tickets is what we are going to address it as an errors. Okay. This errors will be addressed as a tickets, or you can also call it as an incidents, or you can also call it as a query. Different terminology. Different companies you will be using different terminology. Okay. So we'll be working in all these areas in our project.